Welcome to a basic discussion of chronocosmonomy, and I'm just going to really lay it out for you the simple ideas, uh, because there's needing to be an introduction because it's a new science. And right off by saying it's a science, because there's a there's a peer review, there's a consensus, there's what is assumed to be the establishment. So that's a really big and heavy word, establishment. I'm not in the establishment. And I can give you a lot of examples throughout history. And by the way, there is a science of the history of science. That also is very important, and everyone should study that a little bit and to respect those that are focused on that science, the history of science. So within that, it will tell you how did the scientific consensus get established? How do we have the existence of an establishment? So the establishment would be generally called academia, and sometimes I characterize it with an analogy that it is those that are in the ivory tower. So let me repeat the obvious. I'm not a part of the establishment. I mean, not that it's obvious. It's just that if you look into it enough, or if you are in the establishment, then you know that I'm not in there. I'm not one of your colleagues. I didn't go through that gauntlet. I wasn't in that process of getting vetted. Okay? Vetting. So anyone who likes that vetting, in a way, it is meritocracy. It's supposed to be done ideally, correctly, and properly. And provably. You have to have a track record of that, which, they're glad to do that in some ways. Oh, I've got my bachelor's degree here, my PhD, my doctorates, all that kind of stuff from these Ivy League institutions, these universities, colleges. I didn't go to any of that. None of it. In fact, I'm a high school dropout. I think I've said that many times before. If you study me personally and you do your background research on an individual right here. So I'm proud of that. I'm not proud of it because of the reasons that, I don't want to learn, and I hate information, or I hate learning, I hate subjects, or that's not why I dropped out. It's a complex reason. So, but I'm not going to do a biography here. I am just doing what is the background of chronocosmonomy and why we have to do this elaborate, extensive, very definitive introductory series, because you're not going to find it somewhere else. If I don't do it, if I don't put in the effort, if I don't use the technology and get it out there, then it's not going to be there. So I have to put an enormous amount of effort. I don't have the foundation of a college behind me or underneath me or propping me up. The only one that props me up is me, myself, and I. Now, why would I be driven? Why would I do this? And how could I do it? Like, where does this energy come from? I like to thank the one above. And so you must believe it. You must believe that this is happening and that it can happen. Now, what I've just explained to you is kind of like almost polemical. It's almost like just it's a pragmatic approach toward, what is the subject. You want to get into the meat of the subject, but you also have to know where it comes from. The subject is not just the subject. It's a human endeavor. And here's the human right here. It's not institutional. It's not the establishment just put a stamp of approval on it and it's just according to this very predictable and very well-known system. This is a very new system. This is a radical departure, and you decide if that's what you accept, that's what you're ready for. The current zeitgeist is, to me, I'm aware of it, and I hope that you're aware of it. The zeitgeist, to use the German sense of consensus, what everyone's thinking, but there's going to be a paradigm shift. There has to be. There hasn't been one for a long time. Many decades and many scores of years, we've just stayed with a certain thing. In fact, going all the way back to the heliocentric revolution, when it was a revolution, now it's not a revolution. Now it's a complacency. Now it's a far cry from science. Heliocentric is not science at all. It's just something to, pass off, just brush it off. Yeah, we all know that. No, I'm sorry, you don't know that. Because here's what I said in the beginning, the simplicity, the simple idea of it, why I did this, is because the heliocentric system model has so many glaring questions, or I should say a glaring problem that raised all these questions. They are fundamental questions about, why do we know that the sun is in the center and it's not moving? So the general knowledge, the general understanding in the public and of most of the scientists, unless you specialize in astronomy and you know the thing. I'm talking about a fraction of a percentage would know anything of what I'm talking about. But I want what I'm talking about to be known by the public very soon. I give it about 7 years from now. I give it 7 years that I can get this done, that the whole public is going to know about what I'm talking about, starting with one person and spreading it out. It's going to expand into the world and bring the world the greater truth. The greatest truth so far, since the geocentric was put forth and since the heliocentric was put forth. This is the next great leap. Now, what are the fundamental questions about the heliocentric? That, as if you don't know, if you're in the science community, say like 10% of the world, 1 out of 10 people, what should you be asking? Well, how do we know that the sun is in the center? How do we know that the sun is not moving? How do we know what causes ellipses? Because nobody knows. And I went on the Astronomy Stock Exchange, Stock Exchange platform, and they kind of squelched me out. I don't know how else to explain it. They just basically censored it because, and it's documented. I asked a few questions. It was, are